I can promise you it's not red. It is most definitely brown, like golden brown. It'll get lighter as summer goes on.
I believe you. I
But
mean,
it is
it could.
a drastically different look than I normally have, but I got a shower and just didn't feel like doing anything with it.
I don't blame you.
I also was looking at
I
the
won't be able
photos
to
of
read
Emily and I.
chat tonight
Oh, why?
because I'm on. My Wi-Fi is not so good.
Ah, okay. So what you're saying is
Hmm.
it's going to be my job to read chat and ignore everybody as we go on tangents and not remember a single thing that anybody said in chat. Got it.
Yes.
Noted. What you been up to?
Oh, just working and uh, I've been playing a lot of Fiddlesticks.
Really? Has it been
I
going
think he's
well?
back. Oh yeah, I'm like at 70% win rate on him.
I cannot wait to be back when these item changes hit live. That's my claim
When
to
did they
fame.
hit?
1310. I think in like 3 weeks, 2 3 weeks ish, give or take.
God, that's so annoying.
Dude, I can't wait. Kaisa Rageblade, like Vayne comms, like I'm ready.
So
I'm
I'm
so
confused. Are they
ready.
getting rid of mythics or are they
No,
making new
they
mythics?
are changing the mythics. Like certain IE is still going to be a mythic, but then like Ginsu's is going to be one, and there's different. Basically, there's different combinations of items now uh, that are going to be making it up. So hopefully, it changes the diversity of things. If they don't like it, then they will remove them for next season.
Thank God.
Why you don't like mythics?
No.
Neither do I, if I'm being honest.
I like the ability to build whatever you want.
Yeah,
Like I don't like being strung to like 6 items and then realistically, let's be honest, there's like usually 2 mythics. Like as far as AP goes, which is probably the most diverse of it, like there's maybe 2 that are actually people will use most of the time. And then what is it? Like tank there's 1. Everyone's just going Heartsteel.
yeah.
Yeah, she is almost out of gas. And then like I'm trying to think what ADC. Most people just go Kraken.
Yeah, Kraken Slayer or Shield Bow. It's one
Nope.
like sometimes Gale Force on something like a Felios. I mean, I will say ADC di- ADC mythic diversity is good across all champions, but on
True.
individual champions, it's one.
Hmm.
You find one that you like, and granted, I'm not sure how much of that changes when you remove mythics because ADCs are still going to build like one item path. I mean, you'll have some options for other ones, but let's be honest, we all still end up building one specific pathway. It's just that I don't know. I feel like it's that thing where like you feel like you're restricting people's ability to choose, even if we're not going to choose it. It still feels like shit.
I agree. I mean, I'm a big fan though of like I don't know, just those old school builds where you could build weird stuff and just pop off as much as you wanted.
Yeah,
Like you could go Zanios first and it wasn't weird. Now it's like weird to go it, or you feel weaker, I guess.
yeah.
But
I mistakenly locked in Draven again the other day. Uh, building first item Essence Reaver on him just feels so weird.
yeah, doesn't
It's
it?
just odd. Like I can't. It feels like you're losing something not going shield bow first, or like not going your
Yeah,
mythic
because
first.
realistically you are. You're
Yeah,
losing a passive. Like it may not even be bad, you know what I mean? It may be fine, but you're losing something
yeah.
out of the deal. But my fiddle play lately,
Been
I'm
good.
back. I'm a little back. I ain't
I
gonna lie.
we need the duo as soon as possible.
We do. If you can stay up tonight, just take off a day of work.
It doesn't work like that because I'm already taking off Friday. We gotta drive out for. I don't think I'm actually allowed to say it publicly, so I'll talk about that next week when we come back.
Yeah.
But uh, yeah. Did you get to watch any MSI? The real
Yeah.
talking point for today?
I've really only been watching highlights because it's what fits into my schedule
Yeah.
because I can't have it on. and I haven't been able to go back and watch full games. And it's kind of hard to watch full games.
Watching
Like,
full games on VOD is freaking terrible.
yeah, because I end up just skipping through a lot. But I will say, like, I I did feel justified today. I want to say that. I felt very good about my take about LPL when I said freaking insane teams, but their mid laners have been inting lately. And then we start watching the games, and they're getting like 20-minute wins with top and mid like a
Running it down,
combined
kind
like
of.
2 and 7.
Yeah.
I was
Bin
like,
Bin did not look good at all, which I don't expect him to do that again. But there, like, had we had this conversation last week, I don't think many people would have considered Golden Guardian standing a chance against BLG. But now after watching these series, even if it does go 2-0, I still feel like
yeah,
people are gonna look at it and be like, okay, there's a world where, like, if Bin can get soloed by R7, Golden Guardians realistically could stand a chance. It's just
yeah.
a
I
matter of
mean,
making sure we use our guns effectively here and keep killing elk in the way that we normally do.
like I will say he's still really good. I think that was more circumstance of the game and disrespect, maybe. Like, you could chalk those two up. Now I could be wrong, and tomorrow he could get destroyed, but I just am not fully convinced of that. But I will say with LCS mids, I've noticed is that we've moved so far to basically only starting LCK players at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we might as well call our mid laners LCK.
Yep.
Like, it's I really don't think our mid pool is bad.
No.
Like, that's why I think our mid pool is able to stack up against other mid pools pretty effectively now, is because they're basically all just LCK prodigies. Like,
Yep.
we're not, which I know sucks, like, for you, because you're a very, like, you want innate talent to grow,
Yeah.
and I understand that. But right now, like, it's just kind of the wave, and because it kind of makes you feel good when you remember, oh yeah, like, we're not going against Yagao and Knight with
Bjergsen.
what's the best NA mid we got other than Bjerg? Like,
Jojo.
homegrown NA mid.
But
Jojo,
Jojo, I felt like
Jojo
could.
and Inspired were good, yeah.
Yeah, Jojo could actually somewhat keep up, relatively speaking. I mean, his team was kind of dying around
Yeah,
him a
but
little
when
bit.
you say like Gory and River, I'm like, okay, like
Yeah.
there's something there. There's something there.
Yes and no. River worries me. I'm not gonna lie. That's
River
like
can.
that's the one spot that I think the LPL, well, the two spots, jungle and ADC,
Well,
are
that's just
just
life. Their junglers are insane.
it's dumb. And when I looked at the Golden Guardian series today, like, I'm thinking, okay, Rivers really got to step up if we want to stand a chance
Yeah.
tomorrow. If he plays like he did today, we're getting smashed horribly. Like, bot lane can go fine. If we let them run a train on us from jungle, it will affect every lane and will lose us the game, no matter how good Who he is at initiating. Because Who
And
he had a
Elk is
freaking
like,
day.
he did have a day. It's just Elk is like really good.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you forget when you're just watching, or like you forget how really good LPL is, and that them and LCK like are that high above us. Like, because, or not us, I guess, but just even putting them against play-ins teams, it's like, my goodness, like the way they play and the way they just punish them, and it's just suffocating.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point in the game where R7 was up in kills, and BLG had like a 3k gold lead, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Like, did you notice Bid still was getting plates top?
Yeah. I saw they got 15
Like,
plates in the second game. Despite
yeah, they
him,
got them
like,
all.
him inting. They got every plate in the game. It was like, what is
Yeah.
going on here? Holy
Like,
dear God.
I was watching it and I was like, holy cow, that's not good.
No.
But I did get a lot of hope from uh, Golden Guardians.
They
And like,
played
I think we
well.
finally put the people to rest who think that Vietnam is any good.
Hold up. Can I go off on this real quick?
Yeah.
It was so fucking annoying over the last 2 weeks seeing people constantly saying, NA's gonna suffer. Like we're gonna go 0-4 and drop out of the tournament. When the fuck have we ever lost to minor region teams in a best of 3 or best of 5?
I don't know. Have
We
we?
haven't.
Okay.
We haven't ever. So why the fuck was there this like NA's in shambles? NA's not gonna do it. Like we're still the 4th best region. We are the gatekeepers. You have to beat us to become a major region, and nobody comes close. PSG will likely be the best test of that. And if I had to place my money on it, we're gonna 3-0 them. If we can 3-0 Mad Lions at Worlds, we can 3-0 PSG.
I think we can. And I mean, Loud looked fun.
That looked fun, but then they got that's
what I'm saying. They looked fun.
Like
I'm not saying they're good.
That's the great thing about this format is like it really shows. Like you saw this in Counter-Strike for years, where like the first game the underdogs come out and they make it look close, and then the team just goes back, makes an adjustment, and it's like, oh. And that G2 series is like, oh, okay, Loud stands a chance. They're playing well. Game 2.
I think it's funny reading comments on Reddit about how sad people are, or like how sad some of these series are. They're like, man, they're just getting curb stomped for 2 games in a row, and it's like, this is what you all asked for.
Which, to be fair,
like
I
I'm sitting here. Yeah, I just think I'm laughing the whole time. Like, this is what you all want. I was like, you all wanted to see the format. Everyone wanted to see the better team come out on top. And I was like, if that's what you want, this is what you're gonna get. Like, there's not gonna be a lot of upsets. There's just not.
Yeah.
Especially now, because teams don't feel nervous. There's no weight on one game. No. Unless you lose the first game, but there's still no weight on it. You have a backup game. So if they start off bad, they're not going to get reckless. They're just going to sit there, slowly build up, maybe mechanics check them a couple times, realize they're better, and then take off.
I think you're going to have 2 main points where people get really quote unquote bored with this tournament format. The first is going to be on Friday. Friday is like the 2 best of 3s between like R7 Gam and Loud. Like that's going to be the day where everybody tunes in. I hope those games are fiestas and fun, because all those teams are going to be of similar caliber, and I think it might actually be good. But people are going to look at it from the jump and be like, well, these games really don't mean anything because they're going to just lose in the next round anyways. But like that's the entire... I don't know. I personally have been loving the format because now this series against BLG is going to be great. Like it's going to be it's going to be a good test for people to understand, like, even if we get beat, we'll get a sense of where the regions are, and that'll give you an actual preview for what the knockout stage is going to be like. Will we truly only get good series in the winners bracket semifinals when we get down to 4 teams, and then like the losers bracket below that? Or are we going to have a flushed out bracket all the way through? We'll get a sense of that tomorrow.
And it's not like the format itself is bad. It's just more of like, you're going to have in this format, there's going to be more games that you kind of got to just get through. And that's kind of bad, I guess, when you're in the entertainment industry. But that's just how it is. Like, every tournament has that anyways.
I was gonna say we had that last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least we're avoiding those last like end of day best of ones that didn't mean anything. Like at least every game counts for something.
Yeah.
There is that, which I've loved about it. And so far it's been a cool format because like, hey, we're watching good teams be great.
Yeah. I personally like watching like the Giants just absolutely shit stomp the lower regions, because it's like, okay, this format is designed to do that. I want to see how badly you do it. Like how much do you truly break their souls? Because the skill, like in an ideal world going into MSI, all 10 teams would be like within this parameter. But the reality is, because of the difference between the major and minor regions, it's here. So the
Mm-hmm.
mismatches are so bad that it's like you get BLG, as you said, being down kills and taking all 15 turret plates. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, like and you get what G2 did yesterday. Like, you get absolute crazy, like, stompy second games because they're like, oh, okay, we're like this much better than them. And then just curb stomping.
Hmm.
I mean, I was a little disappointed, I guess, in the minor regions. I thought they would be a little better.
I didn't think there would.
Like,
We not watched all of last year? Like
no,
last
yeah,
year.
I guess I want them to be would be a better way to say it.
Okay, that's fair. You want them to be, but they're not gonna be.
Yeah, they're just not.
And
They're sadly,
I will
yeah.
continue to make my push for this because I think yesterday was the best case scenario for Riot to push this through. It is time to merge the CBLOL with the LCS because loud fans showed the fuck up to this tournament. Even if they go 0-4 and get knocked out and do not get to play any more games beyond that, they made that series versus G2 so much fun to watch as the fans were going nuts and then just to watch their hope go away. But it was great. The
They
LCS
did.
travels horribly. Golden Guardians was a library in there. There was no noise coming when Huhi's hitting 4-man set W's and just popping off. It's quieter than Busan. And it's like, what? Come on.
I noticed that and it was making me kind of sad. I was like, we're like low key playing out of our minds. Pentakill, like in the game, a quadra kill, almost two pennas, really, and it was like, yeah, nobody cares. And I was like, hmm,
Yeah.
just not anything really going on here.
And you know what? It's going to be like that for a long time because we're not getting another event back here for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, I wonder why we travel so bad.
Okay, well, LPL fans have money. We know that. CBLOL fans have passion, which we don't have. Like for them, this is national pride, and like we just won't simply have that. I just don't think we have a audience in NA that truly cares. Like not like
True.
they'll voice their support online, but like we don't have those fans that are willing to just take off a month of work to go.
Yeah.
And NA fans will save up for Worlds in Korea this year. I'm not so sure about that. I truly think you're overestimating how much people are going to be willing to travel. I think if they were going to go to anything, they go to London because it's an English speaking country. It is the most
Yep.
realistic for people to go to from America. And if they're not going to do it now, they're definitely not going to do it then.
Yeah, if we're not actually traveling to the places that are easy to, I don't know how.
Especially around Thanksgiving for us. I hope people understand that. The week of
Yep.
finals or the Saturday of finals is the beginning of Thanksgiving week. There's no chance Americans that are not already like endemic to esports and there for work are going in numbers. There's no way possible.
Mhm.
So
We
just
can
don't
hope,
travel.
though.
What?
We can hope. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think because honestly, the games are really good. We played super competitively, and that was nice to see. But it wasn't really good League of Legends, I guess. That's the way to. That's all I can say.
No,
Like, it
but
wasn't
it was
anything special yet. I'm waiting.
it was entertaining League of Legends.
It
So
got me excited, and I'm just waiting now. You know what I mean?
Con said in
I'm
chat,
waiting for something good.
and gamers would rather go to Korea than London or EU. Know this from my years in the scene and tournament with the EU versus Korea. You, my friend, are very limited to just the League of Legends scene. Then, if you think that that's the case, because I can promise you, the overwhelming majority of American gamers are not like that. You will
I mean, I
go.
could.
You will go to a country that is English speaking first before you go elsewhere, just because that's like that is American culture for the majority of
I
people,
can.
even if it's not the circles that we interact with consistently.
Yeah, I can see both. I mean, definitely it is weird that East Coast wouldn't travel over there. You know what I mean? At the very least,
Yeah.
because it would be way easier for us. But I don't think people are. I don't really think NA fans want to travel. One, like you said, and two, we just don't care. Like
No, we
I
don't
think a
care.
lot of NA fans are bigger fans of Asian teams winning, anyways.
Yeah.
Or most of them double team, which I'm
I will
so
never get.
against.
Uh,
I'm so against, but people do it a lot and people love it, and you can't stop what people love. You know what I mean? Some
yeah.
people feel more passionate about that. I saw like someone replied to you in Twitter, on Twitter about you were talking about the co-stream that Cadriel did that was popping off, and there were LS. There was a person in your thing that put. I don't get why people are watching Cadriel more than LS because LS has all these quality guests, and I was like, bro,
Oh.
people like stan Korea hard in America. I don't know what it is. We want Koreans to win.
It is. I gotta be careful with
I
how
know
I say
LS
it.
is technically English
No, I
or
know.
American, but
I just gotta be careful with how I say
he
this because
represents Korea. You know what I mean? All the T1 people.
I feel like there's a lot of people in America that whether they intend to do this or not, they end up doing it. They over romanticize to an unhealthy level Korean culture, Chinese culture, Japanese culture, Asian culture. Like it just I'm trying to make sure I word this correctly if you get what I'm saying, but like there's a you got to be careful with people like that. And Healy, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Holy shit. Like there's a lot of people that do that. Like I've seen it in casual conversations on Discord, not in my Discord, but just general Discords. Uh, I've seen it around. It's just something that I get weary about.
People
I
are
don't
just
know.
very big Korean fans, and I mean it comes with the territory. Like uh,
It's dominated by
we're a
Korea.
game that's
Yeah.
kind of dominated by Korea and China. Like if you became a newer league fan in the past uh, 4 years, really, you would literally think that China's the greatest country to ever touch the video game.
Yeah. That I felt like an idiot by the way on that reaction thread that I did for the dive. I was like, you know,
I'll be right back.
I'll go ahead. I
Sorry.
said I said in that thread that China, China had a somebody's like, oh, China should be favored to win this, and I was thinking, no, they didn't even perform that well at Worlds. They haven't performed that well recently at all, and I immediately was like, I questioned it internally. I shouldn't have sent the tweet, but I'm glad I followed up on it immediately because it's like post 2018, it's like win, 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 second, win, Worlds this past year was the only bad performance from China where they had one team make it to semifinals. It's a trend with China in general that like uh you only have one team that ever goes far. Like 2018, it was just Invictus that made it to the final four. In 2019, uh who was it? You had obviously uh, FPX, and then I can't remember who made the semifinal on the other side of them, but obviously then it was T1. And I don't who did FPX play in the semifinal of 2019? I don't think it was the Chinese team.
All
Or
right,
no,
I'm back.
yeah, it was Sudan. Okay, yeah. So 2019 they had two. 2020 they had uh it was Suning versus Damwon, and then it was two uh in World's Finals there. So like 2018 to 2020, they were performing incredibly well. Then you jump up to 2021, and EDG was there, but I think it was three Korean teams around them. And then 2022, it was what JDG and three Korean teams around them, where it just feels like even though China's up there and winning events, especially MSI, but that's whenever you only have one region there. It definitely feels like Korea is getting more of a stranglehold and kind of like surrounding them. Like there's one dog that ends up like making it to the end or like
Yep.
nearly or wins it all, but like Korea has just for the last 3 years just been circling them more and more.
Yep. I mean, China still managed to like pull out certain events, but it did feel like Korea was still stronger as a region. That's the
Yeah.
best way I think to describe it. Like the weaker teams in China weren't um actually carrying.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I don't know what you do. Like I do think like this tourney, I mean, we'll see how this one goes, but I think like our world's performance is going to be better now than this summer one is going, or this
Really?
spring split performance is going to be, because now we've kind of consolidated and got more competitive rosters.
True. We kind of have.
Like I genuinely think we got more competitive this off season. I
I
know it's
mean,
not really off season; it's in
no,
tourney
but
time,
it's a
but
fair point, and that segues into the whole Vulcan to Flyquest thing.
yeah,
I know where you're going.
yeah, you still super adamant that your team is. I mean, whatever.
Look, I'm not gonna deny Flyquest is like, I think they're hands-on favorites uh to play against C9 in finals. I still think C9
Yep.
is number one until proven otherwise.
Yep.
But Flyquest just showed up their one weakness. Like their one really glaring weakness, to the fact that they had to make a change in the end. For 100 Thieves, I still think our ceiling is there. I really do. I think Tenacity can grow to be better than Impact, at least in his current form. I think that Busio can 100% get up to Vulcan's level. Just give it time. Like Vulcan wasn't, automatically the best player in the LCS whenever he first came on. Core JJ was pretty much taking that title for a while.
Mm.
So give Busio a year. I don't know if we'll be able to beat them this year or keep up with them. We also have to see how Quid does, because that's a big question mark. But we'll see. I don't know. I still think our ceiling is there. It's just a matter of how long it takes us to get there.
I mean, how many slots do we get for Worlds? Is it
4.
we get 4 now?
Yeah.
So it's like low key. I'm at the point where I'm like, I know our top 2 are going to be competitive.
Yeah.
Like whoever can manage to I assume C9 will be top 2. Let's just get them out of the way. Whoever can manage to get there though has to get through a Flyquest team that, if anything, like very massively, I would say upgraded. Like this is a huge upgrade to a lot of their problems. Granted, I know coaching is still an issue, but their players are so freaking good that like
Yeah.
low key, I'm not even that worried about it. And they added a guy who makes a dude who was already almost MVP, like runner-up MVP, just got one of the best laners in the game and one of the
Yeah.
best minds of support. Like
That's the thing. Like Vulcan just brings so many intangibles to the game.
I genuinely think they're the best bot lane now. Like
Oh, yeah, hands down. Like I would be shocked if anybody beats them in lane.
yeah.
I cannot wait to see them go against Berserker and Sven, because I think
Hmm.
Vulcan with a good ADC is just going to
Yep.
be nuts.
Yeah. Like I don't even know. That's just insane what they just did. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy what they added down there. Now they still have mid lane. Like
Yeah.
Vicla's still
Vikla is a
kind of
question mark.
worthless at times. No offense. And then Spica and Impact are fine. They just do what they do.
Yeah.
But Vikla has to step up. Like at this point. Now it does kind of suck for Vikla, I will say, because this roster change, while being great for the team, just made him the weak link.
Yeah, like he's got to be looking at the situation like, if I don't perform
Yeah,
at
it's
at
on him.
yeah, after this season, like there's only one person that they're going to be looking to replace, and that's
Yep.
him. So like you're about to prove your paycheck right now, and
Yeah.
you're either going to keep it going or not. We'll see. I don't know. I like, especially when you have, like, if somebody like Quid comes in and destroys him in lane, and you have
Yep.
M&S and Quid on top, like I'd be terrified. You're just
Now I'd
like,
also be shocked if Ayla doesn't have a spot.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think he won't have a spot?
I think he might have a spot. He'll be playing for like maybe 100K, but that's the. I mean, you say
Wait,
but
you
like
mean
100.
100K? Like money?
Yeah,
Oh, he'll be fine money-wise. I'm saying I'm
yeah,
worried
I
he
think
has a starting spot in LCS.
if he's willing to go to one of the bottom teams, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
That's the question: is are you willing to go on those teams? I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if he didn't get at least a offer. I don't know whether he would want to take it or not, but didn't IMT just sign a support? Yeah, they signed
Yeah, they have
treats.
treats.
So he's not going to go there. Has TSM announced their support? I know Chime.
It's Chime.
Did they confirm? Is Chime confirmed?
Yeah, he's saying.
Dignitas, we don't know yet.
According to the rumors, at least. And
I
the
mean,
rumors have been pretty accurate.
yeah. If Ayla wants to go to EG, he can go. He can go to EG. There,
Our
God
rumored
only knows.
starting roster is unironically Haunter, Boogie, Ruby, Wild Turtle, and Chime.
I mean, great.
What do you mean?
Good for you. I'm proud of you, TSM.
It's a good thing there's 4 spots now.
Yeah. I'm telling
It
you.
would be helpful if they would add a 5th. Hear me out. Hear me out. Add a 5th.
No. So okay, so what 4 teams do you actually think are going though? Like I know you said Cloud9. I'm assuming Flyquest is your number 2 team.
I mean, yeah, at this point, Flyquest, Cloud9.
Do you see
EG
Golden
blew up
Guardians?
their whole roster.
Yeah, EG is no longer there. So it's realistically after that between Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, and
NRG.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the bottom 5 of the LCS right now, and it's just
It's bad.
all right. So we have 3 more teams we think can go. So it's between NRG, 100 Thieves, and
Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians, and we all know my opinion on NRG's team, formerly known as CLG, and so I think it's very clear which 2 teams are going.
Do you think it's Golden Guardians and 100 Thieves?
Running the same bums for 4 splits in a row is probably not going to get you there if it didn't the first 3.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No offense. I feel like if I add that, it makes it better. But
Funslayer said in chat, TL is rumored to get Genji mid. I think you are mistaken, my friend, because Genji's mid is playing at MSI right now, and he's not coming to the LCS. And Genji's academy mid, Quid,
just went
is
to
going to 100 Thieves. So TL is not changing anything there. And I'm pretty sure TL literally made a video saying that their roster is exactly the same. They are changing coaching staff. TL's roster is 100% confirmed to be running it back for summer, which personally I think is a smart move.
I think it is. I don't think you quit on your systems a day in. I'm also, I mean, I think it's funny that somebody thought that they would happen to get Chovy, but
I think he was just mistake. I think he meant Quid and
okay.
Yeah.
He meant Academy or something.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't think Chovy's ever touching this place.
No.
No offense to us.
We can't afford him right now. It's so
we can't
weird.
afford him, and we suck.
It wouldn't have been weird to look at removing Piosik, but at the same time, I just don't think you're gonna get an upgrade. Really, like he wasn't performing great, but like it's not like there's many junglers in the LCS or really around the world that are performing all that much better that you're willing to take the financial hit on. Because think about this, we are no longer in a spot financially where you can just afford to keep Piosik on payroll or just give him the money that he's guaranteed via his contract and then bring in somebody else.
Yes, but you're forgetting the one guy who got cut by EG.
Oh, Inspired.
I know he
Oh
doesn't speak Korean,
shit.
but
Yeah.
he's
Wait,
way better than Piosik.
all of the rumors that I've seen have been him going to EU.
Well, he
So
should probably go home. I think he wants
yeah.
to.
So like I'm not, I don't want to entertain a world where inspired stays here. He didn't want to come over here in the first place. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he probably enjoyed portions of his time here in NA. I can promise you he wants to be back in
He
the
won.
LEC.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he's super happy he won.
But if you think that he would want to win an LEC title versus the LCS title, he'll take LEC any day.
Oh yeah.
I think most EU pros would at this point.
Oh yeah. Dang near you have more eyes on when you win the EMEA.
Yeah. Until we combine with CBLOL.
Which
And
blows
then
my mind thinking about this because this tourney, in my opinion, has been really tough for the we need to win more crowd.
yeah.
Like saying that's why our viewership is dying, in my opinion, because like watching it, I've been like, dude, we are clearly better than these regions that out viewership us. Like CBLOL. Like
And it makes no
we
fucking difference.
yeah, and it makes no difference. We're not outpacing them. Is Vietnam? What's their viewership situation like? Like,
Not great. Not bad, but not great. That like
yeah, because
Vietnam is also merging with um weren't they like consolidating, like Vietnam and one other region were coming together and like
oh, are
basically
they?
being like a super like a super league of the minor leagues.
I mean, I don't know where Vietnam is on a map. Could they link up with the PCS?
I think it might have been the PCS. I'm not 100% certain. But nevertheless, yeah, it's one of those where like yeah, winning clearly is not the root solve of everything. That's
Yeah.
not going to fix your problems. Golden Guardian smashed Gam, and we had nobody in the stands to show for it. So that says whatever you want. Loud got smashed by G2, and they were louder than G2 in the arena, which is insane. That's Europe's home field, and Europe got out cheered. That's nuts, including the one girl who probably lost her voice after that game because she was screaming in the background. Like, literally, like, you would think that somebody was dying. She was screaming.
Yeah.
Like, somebody made a hilarious comment. It's like, you put her and the person that was screaming at the LCS studio in a room together, and they're having a blast.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're the life of the party.
Yeah.
It still amazes me that can happen at that big of an event, low key. Like,
What? That's one voice can be heard over everything?
yeah, that they can't figure out where to put the mic away from the person, like that they can't move it or something.
Nah, I mean, you just have it up front. Like, there's
Yeah.
no moving it. And, like
Like,
her screaming is going to be heard everywhere. And I think it's fine. Just cheer louder. Drown her out.
yeah.
You got a
I mean,
problem
those
with hearing
NFL
her?
sound
Like,
guys though are elite at that. They're like, that person's loud. Huh. No, they just go like that. Put up the little bubble thing. They're like, huh, 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 huh.
yep. Actually, Khan brings up a great point that I didn't think about. Regions that aren't controlled by Riot main the most have been able to build their regional fan bases so much better because they don't have the MSI Worlds narrative for a decade straight. Every region that's been turned over to like their regional team and not controlled by Riot main
I see what you mean.
has done
Yeah.
better than LEC is a great example. LCK is in the hands of Riot Korea, and obviously they're doing Riot Korea
The
things.
only problem with the LEC argument is that they also like had an insane run from G2
True.
that gave them something as a region to like come around.
True. And that's like, but that was a
Like,
defining moment that will continue to,
yeah,
like EME, like literally everything took off from that point. Like they were building, sure, but literally the year that they turned into the LEC was the same year that Fnatic, Well, no, they turned into the LEC in what 2019, and Fnatic had already made World Finals prior to that. So like the year that they fully separate from the LCS is like the first year
Hmm.
that like things
And
start
then
modifying.
G2 winning MSI just like shot it out of a cannon. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the help. Also, not discrediting all the work they did. They have insane like production style, and they really took off in their own direction. But I think it helped a lot what they added
they've been doing
with
like
winning.
unique creative content on broadcast from like
Hmm.
2019 on, and it took
Hmm.
us a good 3 years to even come around to that. Like
Yeah, and I don't even.
now we've
Oh, go
started
on.
putting
My
in
bad.
the work, but like we have no results yet to show for it. Like if the best thing to happen for us would be if one of the NA teams can make a deep run now and our content's great and everything else is on top of that, then we are doing exactly what the LEC did.
Hmm.
But that you need that result, otherwise like we've upped our content and everything else for no avail.
I also don't really think like I think what we tried to chase wasn't fantastic for American audiences. Like what LEC does doesn't fully work here. Like the goofier side of things.
Yeah.
I know inside of the NBA it was like what everyone wanted to be. They wanted to be goofy like them, but they're not really like their jokes are pretty well placed.
Yeah.
And most of it is them actually talking basketball. Like we tried to get a little too goofy, I think, like at one point. And that's not really an American thing. Like sports aren't really a goofy thing. Like I know Pat McAfee's kind of changing the idea of sports media and how funny it can be,
Yeah.
but back in the day when they were really trying to get us through the lull, I would say, and not let us teeter over the edge, we like kind of dumpstered off because we fully bought into more goofier content, I would say.
And I also
Which
think like people have the argument. Have you seen like the people pointing out like, well, we need to bring on Dom, LS, Sneaky, Meteos, Double Lift on the broadcast to do that? Do you think that would work?
I mean their fans aren't big enough to I think sway that. I don't think they have as many as much pull, I guess would be the word, as people think.
I'm with you, and I mean I'm just basing this off of like the point that you said, which I think is fair. Like it's still majorly about league or about basketball whenever like Inside NBA is doing their thing, and then they add in jokes that are banter between the two of them or between two of the
Hmm.
people on the panel, or like it's tastefully done. I don't know if I trust Double Lift, Meteos, Sneaky, Dom, and LS to tastefully put comedy in there while still talking about the game. Like LS, I trust to talk about the game,
Dom, I
100%.
do.
Dom,
Yeah.
Dom, I also trust to talk about the game, but like their humor is more or less just degrading players to a certain
Hmm.
extent. And like, yeah, sure, some of it's jokes, but like it's not from the. It's different when Shaq and and Charles Barkley do it because they can put their money where their mouth is. Like they were players.
Hmm.
They've done this. It's different than when
MVPs, titles.
yeah, it's different when you're a content creator. Like yes, Dom played in the LCS, but like it's not. It's different. It's
Yeah.
it's way different.
And I mean the biggest I would say like personalities we had was Bjerg, who was is like kind of like right now with the Joker, what the NBA is going through.
Yeah.
Uh, they're kind of struggling to figure out what to do with Jokic because
Yep.
he's so good, but he doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, and they're worrying about it. You can tell, like, a lot of the ways they do content about him is like trying to be like, oh, look how good he is, though, ha 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 ha. But he doesn't want to talk to anybody, so it freaks him out. Because LeBron was such a good face, and so was Jordan. I
Yep.
think Bjergsen was more like Joker than he was LeBron and Jordan. He wasn't making the league. He wasn't like say being the face of the league that you kind of need to get you through that. That was more double lift, but double lift was not really dominating enough, I guess, until the turn down started. I
Yeah.
don't know how else you worded it. And double lift wasn't really a good goat.
Double Lift's
Like you're
also
only
like
as
he's setting the precedent now. He's not even streaming at the moment. I don't know if he's busy with something, but like,
Well, yeah, I just mean your league like kind of depends on the people who form it,
yeah,
and like Double Lift at one point literally said he doesn't care about a whole split.
yeah,
Well, not once, he did it twice.
yeah,
Well, he quit it on TSM, and that's a big reason why he got cut from TSM in
yeah,
2017. Everyone forgets that. They're like, "Why'd you guys go spend Mithy?" And it was because he quit playing, and Bjergsen was like, "Well, he won't even play a full year. I want somebody who'll grind."
yeah.
And that kicked him in the rear enough to go play 2 full years out of spite, and then he quit again for a split.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I don't
I,
know. Kind
I,
of gotta have dogs.
I,
Is
I
the way
want
I
to
want to word it.
I want to bring this up. Or there's two questions from chat that we'll answer, and then we'll do the subtopic, which I forgot to mention in Discord that that subtopics are a thing. So, Khan's in here, so I'll just take his question as like the subtopic of the week. We'll do that in a second. Funslayer asked a question which was directly asked in the Optic Flycast this week, which I'm really excited to see your answer on. Does 100 Thieves being owned by Drake give you better recognition?
Are they?
Yes, Scooter Braum and Drake are. It's not necessarily Drake; it's more Scooter Braum, but
Who's that?
his manager. He manages Ariana Grande
Oh,
and
okay.
Drake.
He bought into 100 Thieves or something,
Yeah,
and so did Drake.
yeah. The question brought up on the Flycast was if you could sign one person to Optic right now, who would you sign? And one of the guys said Drake. And the other guy fought him and was like, why the fuck do you want Drake to sign to Optic that's wasted? Because he's not going to want to do anything with the product.
Yeah, no.
It's just
I
money, and you
don't
don't need money right now.
I don't think he I don't think he really changes a ton other than a name, but him saying like, "Oh, go check out 100 Thieves" is like doing one of those like crypto meme coin promos, like is not really going to take you anywhere. It's not going to help the longevity. I mean, like Little Nas X didn't lead us into our paradigm of highest viewership split ever. He led us into more of the same, you know?
Yeah.
Like hip hop artists aren't going to save a league.
No. Not unless
So
like
I
they
don't really.
genuinely love League of Legends. Like
Yeah,
if
and
they
even
care about
then,
it to the level that a buy does, then maybe.
yeah, and even then, nobody's watching them. Like
No.
nobody's watching hip hop artists watch League of Legends. Like I don't know. I don't really think they do a ton. I think it's a cool idea if Drake was more involved, but Drake's also kind of a polarizing guy.
I'll tell you right now
I
who
just don't see
my top
who.
signing would be Lovely.
Yeah.
Because
Oh
he would
yeah.
actually watch the games. He would co-stream. He'd be involved with his team in a way that big name investors or celebrities just can't. You need somebody that
Yeah.
can actively engage with the product on a consistent basis and get into it.
Mr. Beast, Ludwig. That would be about. Those would be your top two. Like I don't know why you wouldn't
Yeah.
if they wanted to buy a team or Toast. But I mean, at that point too, I don't know how long it saves it. I don't know if that's a borrow or if that's an actual long-term strategy.
Yeah.
Because I will say, like, it's kind of rough right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it is and it isn't. Like, I've been seeing a lot of esports doomer takes over the last, like, 3 weeks, especially, like, the Copenhagen Flames stuff kind of lit that off a bit. For those that don't know, it's a Danish Counter-Strike team that has been around for a while, a regional one. They officially closed up shop and declared for bankruptcy. People are worried that esports is heading down that path, and the reality is, yes, many orgs are headed down that path. Many of them are going to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Don't be surprised if some of them are LCS orgs. that are trying to sell, that might try and make some sort of fire sale deal, or maybe go into bankruptcy before then. Maybe a team, I don't know, that lost all of its main sponsors and is selling off players left and right to try and salvage any bit of money that they have. I don't know. I'm just saying that we are going to be seeing a lot more doors close up shop, and you need to be ready for that. Players are going to... Oh, God.
I was gonna say, not to be a doomer either, and get us really down, but if you really want to see how good the world's doing right now, just go like Google bank stocks, and just go through a list of bank stocks right now, and look at banks, and I mean financial institutions worth billions,
Yeah.
that are just going straight down right now. Like, if they're not making it, if the banks are freaking out, I have a bad feeling that so are LCS orgs.
Yep. Like, the whole economy is like that.
Yeah. We're not going to be the only group. The only thing that probably isn't freaking out is the NFL and the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, good for them. They've been around forever. They probably can't die if they wanted to.
But, like, as many people have pointed out, we can survive with having 100,000 people watching the LCS consistently and having the viewership that we have at Worlds right now, or at MSI right now. MSI 2023 viewership. I know day one was the highest it's ever been this year. And I'm trying to pull it up, sorry. But I saw the press release yesterday that day one of MSI was the most watched day one in MSI history. It was up 37% from last year.
This month's?
Yep.
Well, that's dope. We're fine.
Yeah. So total viewership, G2 and Loud pulled in 971,000 peak viewers. DFM PSG had 769,000. GAM Golden Guardians had 700,000, and BLG R7 had 568. But obviously the Chinese viewership for that one's just astronomical, and that's not included here. Average viewership through 2 days of MSI with smaller teams playing is $570,000. Or not dollars, 570,000 concurrent viewers. If you think that we can't run a profitable business, getting viewership like that consistently, you're out of your goddamn mind. We just have to shrink orgs down to the size that we can sustain it, or Riot gives revenue share. But that if they're not willing to do that, then fine. We have to figure out.
I mean, look at CBLOL carrying the viewership. Really, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
that's CBLOL, baby. That's them.
Get them in LCS. Get rid of 3 teams in the LCS. No,
that's not gonna save it.
To any. What do you mean? It helps.
Like, they're just gonna. I don't know if CBLOL people want to do that.
I don't give a fuck what CBLOL people want to do. At the end of the day, this is a business.
But I'm happy what they built. I want them to keep what they built.
But they can keep what they built, but then feed it into a bigger system.
It's not gonna get better coming to help us.
It's not helping us. We're consolidating the region into 2. We're merging. This is a merger. This is not a consolidation.
Yeah, but we clearly don't need to do that. Skill-wise.
It's not about skill, though. It's about money.
Yeah, I get money-wise, but I'm saying, like...
But that's the point. Why do law firms that are both mid-size and profitable, quote-unquote, in their own regards, merge? To become bigger. To get more power. To consolidate themselves so that they are a force in the industry that can then take on bigger clients, bigger issues, bigger challenges. If we bring in CBLOL with North America, that gets towards the goal that Riot said of reducing the amount of tier 1 teams, which makes it easier to monetize and work with those teams to develop skins in game, like a bunch of other things that if Riot, like, I get people are going to say the counter to this point is that Riot could do all this with the amount of teams that they have now. They could, but they're not going to. Clearly, So we have to play Riot's game. And if Riot's game is to reduce teams, that's one area where I'm just looking at like, yeah, why wouldn't we?
I don't think they will. Well, I don't think CBLOL would want to come here though.
I know they would. But
Like, I don't think a lot of them. Well, I'm meaning like I think some of their teams, it'd be hard to convince their top tier teams.
I think it'd be hard to convince the bottom half of the top tier teams. I think their Loud's accessibility to revenue, if they are predominantly based in North America and get to monetize all of the Americas, is going to be better.
Maybe.
If you ask Loud which they'd rather be in for Valorant, a Brazilian specific league or a league that covers all of the Americas, there's no way that they're going to tell you that they wouldn't want all of the Americas.
Well, yeah, but League's way different than Valorant.
Why? Because we said so?
Because we've already set them. Yeah, we've already set the
So what?
region.
Change it.
I don't know if they're gonna change it. I just don't know because it's hard. It's hard for a league that's been going down only to go to a league that's going up only right now to switch.
I agree, but sometimes rather than just peeling the band-aid off slowly, just rip it off. If the reality is, Riot clearly likes the Valorant system. All of gaming likes the Valorant system. People just enjoy it's in Riot's words.
I get what you mean.
It's easier to work with 30 teams, with it expanding soon to I think 50 total, but those provisional teams in other, or not 50, I think like 40 total across the other regions. Those other teams being like provisional teams that are in there for 2 years and then dropping out. The point is, it is so much easier to work with that few number and make it work. Imagine if the NFL was 100 teams. Imagine how much more complicated that would be.
Soccer's done it for a long time.
And it's also the most corrupt sport in history.
Well, same league's corrupt.
There's a lot of idiots involved, but I wouldn't say it's corrupt.
I'd venture to say that a business owning a game and owning every league that's involved in the competition of it could be considered in some ways corrupt. But
I don't think
the way
so.
life goes.
I don't think I think the corruption would happen if they assumed control when they didn't have ownership over anything.
So if they made CBLOL condensed to us, that would be the corruption more than likely.
I think
now,
you're,
if they told
CBLOL
if you want to, I'd be okay with it. But if they told them we have to have an Americas, I would not enjoy that personally.
I'd be curious to know if you gave all of like the North America or all of the American regions the choice and said, hey, look, you're going to have a tier 2 system for your own individual region. So CBLOL will still exist. You will just be what EMEA is to the LEC. Or like what the LFL is to the LEC. Like obviously you're going to be the premier regional league. But 3 or 4 of your top teams are going to be in this global league or this regional superpower league. And it's not about skill because realistically we're all still going to get smacked anyways. It's not like that makes a difference. It's not the point. The point is to have a joint front to try and help grow this and grow fandom everywhere.
If they say yes, then they say yes. If they say no and they think that they like their league, I don't think there's anything you can do.
I mean, you're still
other
going
than force them.
Yeah, I know, which I think Riot ultimately is going to do, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I just don't love that. I feel like it's fair to not love that.
Because, Con, it's not about them having a chance to succeed versus the LCS. Again, I'm not thinking about this at all in terms of who's going to be better in competition.
I mean, essentially, too, you got to think about it. You're cutting LCS and CBLOL. I'm explaining, like, for you.
Yeah.
Like, this is towards your point. Like, everyone's got to cut it. Like, that's it. We're icing LCS titles and all that. That's where they'll stay forever. This is a new region thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're in Americas. We're not that. I mean, would it suck for LATAM? Probably a lot, because they're probably not going to get very far. Does it really matter? No, because they want to get there anyways.
Khan said they aren't going to succeed in attracting new fans if they come and just lose. Bro, the CBLOL has been growing for years with no results. If you think that
Yeah.
them coming into the LCS and going 0-16 is going to make a difference, it's not. Their fans will still be louder than anything that we have. Like that's the part that like Americans just can't get. It's not about just winning. It's about pride. They can go 0-16, but you're with the team and you stand together. And I can promise you, they will not be 0-16 forever. They will eventually improve.
I'm curious how the games would go though, because the finals would have to go between Brazil and America. You know what I mean?
No,
So
you just
I mean, they
you run it like the
would.
Champions League. You have 6 LCS teams, 4 CBLOL teams, or you could do 5 and 5 if you truly want to. If you really think there aren't more than 5 organizations that are worth keeping in LCS, and you put them in like the normal format that we're gonna have, which is like the LEC format. And sure, LCS teams would smack pretty early, but eventually that would start to change. And more importantly,
But I'm saying eventually you'd have to host something in Brazil.
yeah, have finals. Like you can rotate finals.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Finals would have to
Oh
be
yeah, yeah.
Brazil or America, like, because that would have to happen like every other year.
Yeah,
or
but
every couple
we're
of
gonna have
years type thing.
we're gonna have 3 finals now, so that's fine.
Well, I'm more interested, is what I was gonna say from that, is it would be very. I'd be curious how it would go, like how loud they would cheer. I'd have to go back and watch that MSI that was in Brazil. How loud they'd be if all their teams got knocked out early by ours. And it's 2 Americans, you know what I mean, in the finals. That'd be kind of awkward.
I mean, hey, you know what? We'll still have to see.
I get you can say just win, but kind of kills the finals environment if nobody likes or really feels connected to the teams, and you got to pay thousands to fly to the finals.
I mean, look, we'll see how that works out for Valorant this year. I'm telling you right now, this is gonna be the test. Granted, luckily the Brazilian teams are actually like good at Valorant.
Yeah, they're stupid good at
yeah.
FPSs.
But you're telling me that if Brazilian teams had access to American scrims, that they wouldn't get better?
I don't know.
I'm not saying they wouldn't get their ass kicked initially, but it's the same thing.
Don't know.
It's the same argument that people make about LCS players if we went over to Europe or Korea or China. Like you give us that practice environment and them to play in that environment for an extended period of time, and they will elevate themselves to that level at some point, assuming they have the skill required, which most of them
They're
do.
not gonna move their headquarters up here. They're gonna move their team up here. That makes them not Brazilian at that point. They're just American teams.
No, you have your headquarters in Brazil, and then you have a Santa Monica branch.
Yeah, that's like G2 being American.
Hey, you can capture the American market, go for it.
Yeah, but we both know G2's not American.
I know.
If you take the team out of Brazil, it kind of kills the whole Brazil idea.
Not necessarily. If they still embrace
they're not
the Brazilian...
Brazil. They're just another LA team.
I don't think so. I think there's clearly ways to brand yourself to be a Brazilian team.
I mean, it didn't work for Overwatch at all. Being headquartered in other places.
I mean,
people didn't buy into that at all. Is what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're talking about. People bought into it pretty heavy here in New York. Like really heavy.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, it died really quick because people weren't really.
It died because
they weren't buying into it.
Yeah, they were. Are you kidding me?
No, because it wasn't that big because of it. Like I'm saying, their region idea wasn't functioning well. It took about a year or two of people realizing that their team, being region somewhere else, was never coming there.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying if you eventually get to the point where you can go out, like I get.
Yeah.
The problem with the Overwatch League is that it crumbled before it could get to that point, which was always going to be the problem for them. If you can't get on the road and get to these New York fan bases, People are not going to have a reason to cheer for a New York team because then they're not New York, they're just another LA team. So I
Yep.
get that point, but that has, like, as you said, you have to get down to the Brazilian audiences then. You have to
Yeah.
have consistent events there. Like
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
one final a year of the 3 has to be in Brazil. And that just
Yeah.
has to be how it works. And like you section it off. So like Brazil gets one, LATAM or Latin America gets one, and then the Americas get one.
Hmm.
And sure, you're playing the regular season from LA because it's cost effective for now. But at some point, if Riot has multiple studios in other places, like they have a CBLOL arena, you do a travel week where everybody travels down and plays from their arena for a bit. Like it is possible to make that work, but it's tough. I mean, look, I'm just saying there's a world where you can make it work. Is it cost effective? Obviously, that's everything I say is
Yeah,
apparently
who
not
knows?
fucking cost effective. I get that. I'm just trying to think of a world where you can merge the two and we can.
Well, I'm only worried about it because my major reason isn't, or my major concern isn't even cost effectivity or anything you're saying. I just don't believe in Riot to pull it off and to actually not kill
Oh,
Brazil.
oh, yeah. I mean that. Well, that's a whole other question.
Yeah, like the things you were saying, like when you said, "Oh, they just come up here and play, and then we'll do a finals there." I'm like, I get
You don't
that,
have
but
faith
like,
in them to actually go to Brazil for finals.
yeah, no. And honestly, they deserve a full split. I know people hate to hear that, but
Yeah, they
they
do.
deserve a full split of play, like in Brazil, as much as we deserve a full split. Now, do I think Riot can pull that off? No. And I guess you can kind of say that leads back to my corruption opinion, but I don't think Riot makes every decision very morally great, and or I don't think they really care about the user base sometimes. So I could see them making a decision for League with CBLOL and just crushing something that's doing a great job at growing right now.
You're not wrong.
And it goes kind of back to Khan's point of how them not touching them, like just
Yeah,
don't touch them.
yeah.
Yeah, just leave them.
Like ultimately, this is a hypothetical that we're going
I
down, but
know, I know.
I agree with you. I think at the end of the day, you probably just leave CB low where it's at. Uh,
Yeah,
they're doing
I'm nervous they touch them and they kill them.
they're doing fine with absolutely no international results. Now, if CB Lowell comes to the LCS and was like, "Hey, we want to be a part of it," then sure, that's a different
Oh
conversation.
yeah.
That's a different conversation to have. But like trying to force them in, I'm with you. It's probably not the smartest idea,
I
especially
I
given
think you
everything
can
else.
do it the way you said, 100%. I think Champions League should be the mindset. Your initial one was like the one I liked, but I was imagining splits in both places and then meeting up, like with maybe your top 4 teams from each area. And I know it might be unfair at the start to send to equate 4 Brazilian teams to 4 LCS teams. Like maybe their 4th team doesn't deserve that much favor. But at the end of the day, I think it'd be really fun to have that kind of tourney. That would
I
be sick.
I agree. So we'll end on Khan's take here. Real quick, the point that he mentioned before was like LCS teams need to have like individual watch parties, like for their
Uh,
own things. Like, Courage hosts the 100 Thieves one. I like obviously I'm a big fan of that. I've been pushing for it forever. John
mhm.
Robinson, if you see this in any capacity, my DMs are always open. More than happy to come to the 100 Thieves compound and stream some 100 Thieves games and talk about it as a fan of the team. Uh, that said, I think you and I have already talked about that in depth. Like we both are on the same page there that that's a good avenue going forward. The point that he just
Mhm.
made was he's been on the wave of we need less international events, and that LoL esports could do wonders with just a one split type system. I couldn't disagree more, but that's
Well, you're not gonna win me over. I've been watching it this way for a while, and it's been fine for every other region but us.
yeah.
So,
It's
but
it's one of the. I think that's a change that like universally like is only made on with like a mind for the LCS of just like we get crushed, so it's demoralizing, so like we don't want it. But like The reality is Loud is showing a great example of you can get crushed and international events are still fun. And you go and you try and make your run, but then at the end of the day, if you can't, you sit there and you watch the big boys. And we're all watching the big boys. I
And
have no problem
I
with that.
think there's nothing we need less than more regular season League of Legends. I see enough regular season League of Legends, and I am very happy with the amount I do see. But just adding more of it doesn't really do anything for me. Now, granted, I also don't like that. Aren't they trying to add or they are going to add a third
I mean
international event?
that's the conversation around it.
I don't really like that either. I think we have plenty of them. Like, I know some people want more. I know they want 3, but I just don't really care for it because it's just adding international events doesn't really, it just ruins some of the, in my opinion, like the grandiose of the
I'm
last one.
I mean
Like, as more placeholder trophies. I don't know.
it does and it doesn't. It's one of those where like we go back to the Champions League discussion of like
Hmm.
I'd be perfectly fine if we had regional league. Like we have 12, realistically 10 months to work with here, uh, to get everything sorted out. I'd be fine with having less regular season for domestic leagues. Like of that 10 months, say only 2 of it's regular season for or 3 of it's regular season for domestic leagues. And the other 7 months is some sort of like international play. Whether it's a tournament or like an international league or something. Like I don't know what the answer would be, but I personally am for more international tournaments so long as they are unique from each other. That I'm fine with. But if you're going to do the same thing that takes away from one tournament to another, then yeah, it's a problem. It's why I really like the changes this year to MSI, but Worlds is still going to feel like an entirely different tournament. That
Hmm.
single Elam bracket at the end is like, there's no fucking up. There's no like coming back from that on like this tournament. Like this tournament, you can still work your way up. There, it's like it's one stop shop.
And I kind of hate what they're doing with LEC right now with the 3 splits. Like, do I think winter split is fun? Yeah. But just adding trophies, I just don't love how many banners teams get in League
I agree.
sometimes. Like, just the amount of stars you can put on your jersey just because we added another tourney so that we can have more stars. It's like, okay, buddy, cool. But like at the end of the day, like, do we really at the end of the year do we remember the MSI champion as much as we remember the world's champion? Not really.
I think this year that'll change.
It
I think
might.
I legitimately think this year that's gonna change. The reason why I do see your point, but I think there's a counter to be made, is that Call of Duty already does this. Like when you talk about a player in Call of Duty like Scump, he has what 30 plus wins, but he has 1 ring. And there's a clear distinction between how many tournament wins you have and how many championship rings that you have. Same thing with Crim 6. Crim 6, the most winning player of all time in Call of Duty. Like, I don't even know how many wins he has. But then he has 3 rings. Karma, and Clayster, I think all have 3 rings. And it's like, and JCap, I think as well. He's at like 38, yeah, something like that. But like, there's a distinction between tournaments and COD champs. And the thing that League can get to is
Hmm.
like you need to have it so that winter and spring splits are wins. Like they count towards something. Like I like that the LEC is doing like the shield thing, but even then it's still not unique enough. Like they really need to do something that separates winter and spring from each other.
Hmm.
And then you have the LEC trophy at the end. But the only winner of the LEC, the only person that gets their name on that like that is like considered an LEC winner, is the one at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that because I like the way that works. I like the major systems that build into a championship like that. I 100% think that is a viable way to go forward. For the LCS, we can have 3 splits. As Mark Z suggested, have them be 3 different formats. All 3 splits are different from each other. And have the first 2, obviously, like winner split needs to have like some sort of like trophy to it. Fine, that's a win. Spring split also has a separate trophy to it. It's a win. But when we're talking about like when we compare like at the end of Busio's career,
Third split. Yeah.
yeah, at the end of Busio's career, he can have, you know, 8 wins, but he's got 2 titles. And there
Yeah.
needs to be a distinction there. And if there is that
It
distinction,
does.
if we are able to do that, then it's fine. Then every split will feel relevant. Because even those smaller ones are important because they're building up towards the end of the year. And you build up these storylines. And that last tournament means fucking everything, both
Yep.
domestically and internationally.
Yep. And like to go to the chat, they were talking about Rift Rivals. Like, I agree with what you're saying because it's like Rift Rivals wasn't. It just wasn't interesting because at the time they were more introducing like these cool MSI and worlds, and Rift Rivals just seemed like a kind of really cheap
Yeah.
All-Star tourney, and that was the replacement to All-Star events. What they tried to claim that All-Star events weren't pulling anything anymore, but what really killed it was moving it to the Riot studio
Yeah.
with like 200 something seats and being like, hey, only like a few hundred people can come here, and we put it in the part of the country that's literally as far away from as possible from most of the country. So we'll see how many people actually want to come. Haha. And it was like, okay. When originally it was in these really cool uh like venues in France and stuff, and there were all these cool crowds.
Yeah.
But I don't
That's
know.
that's
And
I'm
then
telling you. I have a feeling that third event's going to be a World Cup.
oh, I see what you mean.
I feel
Like it
like
would just be regions sending their best players.
yeah, instead of Rift Rivals, like you have a tournament where it's like US, Canada,
That would be
all
cool.
like that. That's a way to like have that third international event, have
Yeah.
it mean something because there is pride to it. And yeah, obviously, technically the winner splits are relevant. Like the winner of the winner split doesn't technically go, but that's
Yeah.
fine. It's still the winner of the winner split is a fun thing at the end of the day. Unfortunately, I am gonna have to
Still
cut
sends
it.
you to MSI.
Oh yeah, yeah, it qualifies you to
Yeah.
MSI that way. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Or it gives you enough points that if you don't completely dump the bed, you should be able to get to MSI.
Yeah, like I'm fine with that too. Like either way. To everybody in chat, unfortunately though, we do have to wrap this up because I gotta get this exported and sent over because as I mentioned earlier, I have something I have to leave to tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be freaking hectic for me because we got the series in the morning. I'm in the office. I have to record my reaction to the games during lunch. I need to remember to take my hard drive with or my portable like 1 terabyte drive with me to work so I can transfer all the file or the video files over there, immediately plug it into my computer, come back here, edit it, and have it out because we have to pick up our rental car at 8 p.m. and go. So,
Dang.
oh, we did not talk about the Barstool stuff. Fuck, I wanted to talk about
I don't
that.
know what you're talking about even.
We'll talk about it next week, and I think there's a
Okay.
video to be or there's a whole separate video that I might end up doing on the Barstool stuff that might give you more information so we can have a more in-depth discussion next week. The TLDR is one of the big names in Barstool accidentally dropped the N-word when rapping a song because it was one of the lyrics in the song. And he was removed from Barstool today because of it. And it changed. Like he was one of like people's most famous, or one of the most famous members of Barstool, like somebody that brought like cultural identity to them. But he was removed
Oh.
by the parent company because the parent company would have lost their gambling licenses in the various states across the U.S. because of it.
Because of what?
Because of them not like governmental bodies are already trying to pull these licenses and like people were trying to sue them to remove it anyways. And them keeping him on as a legal liability, it opens a chance for them to retaliate against Penn, Penn National, the company that owns Barstool, and remove some of the gambling licenses. So, as a matter of precaution, and Dave Portnoy even spoke out about it, basically said, I tried to fight against it, but at the same time, I can't argue with them because if they lose their gambling licenses, they lose their entire fucking business. So they're
Yeah.
gonna take the action that protects them. It is very interesting. And for those that don't know, I grew up in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Penn National Racetrack and Casino was something that I went to as a kid. We go up there and bet on horse races, and I'd like see the casino and everything growing up. So like I'm very familiar with Penn National, the company, well before the Barstool merger. So like, it's an interesting story that kind of hits home for me that I'm interested to talk about next week. But I'll have a video out on it probably. Actually, I might not, depending on how Golden Guardians and C9 do. I might not have it out. I don't know. I'll just fill you in privately. But I changed a lot in the last 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Anything else you wanna mention before I end the podcast?
Mm.
All right. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We will catch you next week for the podcast. We'll be back here, and hopefully Golden Guardians is still in MSI. We'll see. Who
I
knows?
highly doubt they aren't.
Adios.